Well, welcome back to another episode of Let's Discuss.
This is where we discuss things, right?
It's where we discuss things.
We need to discuss
Yes.
that.
But specific
Yes,
things.
discuss.
Oh, I thought
Let's
it was
discuss.
where we are discussed.
Oh, like people are discussing us?
Well,
Yeah.
you should probably listen to our previous ones, like New Mutants, Terminator.
The
Dark
New Mutants
Fate.
one was good.
You'll find some disgust
I
in there.
remember Dark Fate. I was all about the big robot chick.
New Mutants was so good that I went back and rewatched the movie
Hey,
just
you know
a
what?
few weeks ago.
If you go back and
It's probably
rewatch it,
the
it's
character
actually
tied
not
to
that
it.
bad.
I enjoyed it.
It's one of the better mutant movies from Fox.
I think I actually enjoyed it more this
Oh, we
time.
also did Dark Phoenix.
Is it
Oh, God,
also
don't
stuff we
bring
have
that.
discussed for?
We have
Like-
discussed and we became disgusted by
Like-
We don't necessarily have to be disgusted
New
to discuss,
Mutants.
but if we want to discuss being disgusted, we can.
If you want to see New Mutants in a new light, watch it right after you watch Madam Web.
Oh, yeah. The camera work is
Or
excellent.
just watch
Yeah.
any movie after watching that to make it better.
Yeah. You know what they were saying? They were
Well-
saying that this new movie with the Borderlands was so bad that it's worse than Madam Web. And I say no.
I don't think so.
I decry the statement. There is no possible way. You can't have that many actors that upset about being in a movie where the cameraman is obviously drunk. Like, it just isn't, it's not possible.
No, from my understanding, Borderlands on a technical level is fine, whereas Madam Web on a technical level
It's gross.
is like
It's disgusting.
not fine.
No, it's not fine.
Yeah.
I'm
Let's
glad
do
that we
it.
got here to discuss Madam Web today.
Yeah, we should do a Let's Discuss on that, where people have to watch that.
That would
friggin' movie.
require you to actually finish the movie.
I did. Scott was watching with his kids. I was watching at my house, and
We
I
start at the
got
same time.
20 minutes in, I think, and I was like, "Peace out, dog. I can't. I'm getting vertigo, and I've literally jumped off buildings before and been fine."
I watched it twice, but I also really like Mystery Science 3000.
You also
Well,
used the Fantastic Four movie to go to sleep to.
There's B movies that you
Not
just.
the good one.
Yeah, I know. We're talking about the one with MBJ.
Yeah, I've never made it past the junkyard scene.
It's like, I watched Fantastic Four to go to sleep last night. I was like, what part did you get to? And he was like, you know the beginning of the movie where Reed and Ben are at the junkyard? And I said, yeah. And he's like, there again. Yep, fell asleep again.
I have never made it past that scene.
He's
Well,
actually never seen Michael B. Jordan as the
Let's
Human
just
Torch.
be a reminder of that we discuss a whole variety of topics,
Yeah.
including ones that are not well received.
Yeah, but these all
Morbius,
matter.
though, was a great movie.
Well, see, that's off topic, but these all matter because that Fantastic Four movie, The New Mutants,
Yes.
most of these movies were Fox materials, not
Yes.
Madam Web. Not even Fox would own Madam Web.
No, that was
But-
just straight up Sony.
No, that's just straight up.
Sony's
Sony.
the
They
new Fox.
Sony'd that. They Sony'd that. That should be an adjective.
Yeah, Sony. Yeah, we'll get into that later.
You just Sony'd the up.
This one's about Fox, or as I like to call it, Deadpool kills the Fox universe.
I thought he showed up in Disney now.
He said
Well,
he
he
went to
is
Disneyland.
He's got
Yeah.
saved.
That is the topic for today: is Deadpool and Wolverine.
He literally
The
said he
mutant
went
Messiah.
to Disney.
He did, yes.
All right, we're like 5 minutes in, and we haven't talked about Deadpool Wolverine.
You know about Marvel Jesus?
To be fair, we're doing setup work. So that
you
people
gotta know.
remember.
It's like Lizzie says. You gotta know the backstory.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they released a list of movies for you to watch before watching Deadpool and Wolverine,
Yeah.
just so you can understand all the cameos.
Yeah, watch Fox, and then watch Loki, and you'll understand Deadpool.
Most of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So watch all the Fox universe, and then watch Loki so you understand what the TVA is, the Time Variance Authority, and then you can go into Deadpool Wolverine without being
Yes,
lost.
should be
Well,
fine.
hold on just a second. Before we continue, also,
Hi, I'm Dan, and I watch movies sometimes.
I am Dan's cousin Tony, and it's true, he does watch movies a lot more than sometimes.
even the worst ones.
I read comics a lot of times.
Even the worst ones.
That's true too. Yeah.
I am Scott, and I watch movies sometimes. I read specific storylines of comics, and I don't move on until I finish the storyline.
Hey, that's no small feat. Tell people you are a Krakoan to the end. You've read the entire Krakoa.
You read the
era.
entire Krakoa?
Almost.
He's at the fall. He's at the fall right now.
I am. Yeah, I'm at
Oh,
the
man.
fall of the House of X, or whatever they call it. They
moving
have so
into
many
the
similar
Ashes.
names on it, but basically it's right before From the Ashes, and I started it. What was it, last year? I think when I really started. I started diving into it last year.
I was trying to
at the
get
beginning with the Dawn of X and everything, and then just kind of just.
I had some issues during the reign
Mhm.
and jumped back to the Jim Lee, Chris Claremont era, which I've read before, but it's just good. There's nothing really wrong with X-Men starting at X-Men #1.
It's definitely a chore, but it's fun, and I'm looking forward to completing it.
Yeah.
So then I can move on to the next storyline.
That's true, man.
So
I'm really proud of you for doing it. I mean, it's reading a Jonathan Hickman story is no small feat, but reading a Jonathan Hickman 5-year overarching rehaul, I don't think there's ever been anything like this.
what did they say? It was like over 500. This entire Krakoan age was like over 500 issues or
Oh,
something
yeah.
like
Wow.
that, and I think it was like 55 different series tied in.
Yeah.
Man.
It was wild.
If you want to read them all, now some of them
Yeah.
are only 4 issues, and some of them are little character
Some are
one-shots,
miniseries, yeah,
and some
but-
but in total, they covered every single angle that you could probably think of, and Hickman is a genius when it comes to world building. So I'll give it to him on that. Now, even he couldn't stay to write all of it because he was like, "This is just big," But.
Yeah.
Which I'll probably end with reading the mainstays and not having to delve into every side story. But I gotta say that's a pretty impressive feat.
Well, thank you.
My name is John. I do not watch movies. I hear about them.
You
from-
experienced them.
No, I don't. Most of the things I comment on, I've only heard about. Like Sean will tell me. Sean is a mutual friend.
You were sitting next to
No.
me in the movie theater.
That was not me. That was Sean.
That was John Bott.
That was a Sean.
Sean
bot.
showed up and
Yeah. He tells me, like, this is what happened in the movie, this is what I liked about it. Sometimes he misinterprets things, and so I judge that.
Harshly.
Yeah, harshly, because I was like, that sounds stupid. Like, why they do that? Therefore, this is a horrible movie, I shouldn't go see it. So he's like kind of a movie taster. He'll, like, taste, like, Netflix series, and be like, this tastes horrible. I was like, oh, then I'm not going to eat it.
there you go.
I'll watch it, though.
That's a valuable service that you bring to us, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank
We
you.
all looked up as if he's in heaven.
You
was
are
looking
the
at the
Alderson
microphone.
of us all.
Watching over us. Okay. And before we jump any further into it, let me just give the spoiler warning.
Oh,
Oh, spoilers!
Just in case anybody's listening that has not had the
why would you
opportunity.
listen to a review of a movie
Yeah.
that
Oh,
you haven't
Just
Here's a
you
spoiler
know,
check. Wolverine dies.
seen?
That's how the movie starts, actually.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, he was already dead at the beginning.
Let's start from the beginning with that, by the way. The best intro of a superhero movie ever.
That honestly
Single-handedly brought a band back into relevance.
It was
Okay.
so good that the band changed the official title of the YouTube video for the song to featured in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Who wouldn't? Okay, honestly, if you're Justin
To be
Timberlake
fair.
and your former friends, whoever they were, I don't remember the rest of their names, because they didn't get married to Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake did. You're my boy, dude. But,
Also, he's from Memphis.
well, yeah, grew up in Millington and all that. That's great. Good for him. Made us proud. But the real hero here is the choreographer who had to put on the Deadpool suit and did the Bye 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 NSYNC dance better than the boys in NSYNC did.
Yeah.
Have you seen the comparison video?
Oh, yeah.
He is way better at their dance than they were. And he didn't even have to wear Jinkos.
He's had 20 years to work on it.
Well,
I'm assuming that's how he stays fit.
only ironically.
No, I'd do that dance.
I do that dance every day, and all I do is throw my back out. That's why he's holding his hands behind his back at the end, because he threw his back out.
Well, it's a lot easier if you've got the puppet strings.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the gods were so silly back then. Oh, my God.
Oh, so silly.
So glad we survived the 90s. So was Deadpool, and that's what he makes fun of.
Yeah.
But that ain't... Okay. First of all, I've got to say, if you can take somebody else's femur and kill people with it...
Well, to be fair, he used all of Wolverine.
Yeah, but
to
the
kill
femur
people.
was great.
He used metal objects.
Yeah.
And just obliterated them with it.
Yeah.
Like,
Or, as the guy later in the movie says, you desecrated the corpse of the Keystone character.
Oh, the anchor.
anchor.
Anchor character, yeah.
Yeah, the anchor being of your universe. It was like a holy state, almost like being a messiah. But
Which that is a really interesting concept too, by the way.
Yeah.
Like the whole anchor being thing, because it gets you wondering about, like, okay, so...
The idea that the branch was created because of someone, so they are the anchor for that branch.
for that time,
Right, but the thing is, like, with these anchor beings, it's like, they're going to eventually die. So, that just means that every timeline will eventually cease to exist.
Well, in their reality, the pleasure was that the anchor being is immortal. Ish.
Was. Yes. Except their
Because
their
really it's a-
reality was dying because
He was gone.
was gone.
I get it. But it's a metaphor. And we all understand the metaphor is that this timeline was a different movie company owning the rights to these characters and them recognizing that all they had ever invested their time in was Hugh Jackman being Wolverine. He did his final movie and said, I'm no longer going to do Fox movies. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. I'm no longer going to do Wolverine or superhero movies. And then Fox stopped owning it. And he said, actually, I was just kidding. I just wasn't going to do any more Fox movies.
He did say at the time that he would be open to coming back if Disney was running it.
And he has. And now he will be until he's 90.
Well, the other thing, too,
It's a good thing he's
was
immortal.
I'm trying to remember the timeline of it, but I know he's recently divorced, too. Hugh Jackman.
He just recently got divorced. That's true.
So I'm sure that also played.
And when they said Bryan
something into
Singer
it as well,
won't be
so.
directing this movie, he said, you got me. You got me and Bryan Singer's not here.
Wait, I get to wear the real Wolverine costume?
I get to wear a costume and not get hurt during stunts because of a coked up crazy director? Awesome.
Right?
Just saying. It's got to be put out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is wild.
Yeah, who's not still working on superhero movies? It ain't Hugh Jackman.
Me.
He's still here.
I'm not working on superhero movies.
Well, just
You're
put
working
them
on
on the
Watchmen.
Halo series. I'm sure we'll be fine. Can't be any worse than what they have.
Nah, that'll be fine.
So that was an interesting concept with the whole anchor being. I am interested in hopefully seeing them like explore that more. You know,
Yeah.
as far as that goes.
You're right. It doesn't make sense that the anchor being dying just at all causes a universe to.
Because they were
Collapse.
the reason
Because
that
yeah, everyone's
split.
going to die. Like, so there must be something specific about the way this Wolverine died that wasn't supposed to happen. Like, oh, you're not supposed to be selfless. Wolverines are notoriously selfish.
Well,
And so because he was so different of a Wolverine, it was like, oh, you messed up your universe.
well,
Well, he died.
I can tell you
Period.
from experience playing a game that if the entire story is built around one character and they
Yeah, it works in the
suddenly
meta sense.
die,
I agree. It worked completely in the meta sense.
If they die or if
It's
they're just
very-
a dick, like,
But,
yeah,
like, if
it
they're gonna
ruins the
carry
whole
this
campaign.
concept
yeah, they
from
just jump
Deadpool-
into a vat full of souls. And
Yeah. If they're
all
going
of
to
a
carry the
sudden-
concept to the real like Marvel universe, it's not
Yeah.
going to fly.
Well, I think that the point is that you can't take too much of it with any grain of salt because
Then I'll leave
it
right
is
now.
all metaphorically a
It's all,
joke.
it's all just a comic. Who
Well, yeah.
cares?
Well, it's all a joke. That's the point, is that Deadpool's making a commentary the entire time
Yeah.
about cinema and about the real world. He's not making commentary about the actual state of the story, the narrative. He's not making fun of Loki's storyline. He's making fun of the producers, directors, movie owners,
Himself.
timelines, himself, the actors. At more than one point in the movie, when he's talking to Wolverine about how upset Blake's going to be later,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
inside and outside. He's breaking. I think at this point, Ryan Reynolds is better than Deadpool because he's breaking the 16th wall. It's like the fourth wall of the fourth wall.
Yeah, I
Fourth wall
understand
squared.
all of that, but if you introduce a concept in Deadpool, if you want to carry it to like 616, it has to make sense within the context of the story. Otherwise, you don't have a story.
He doesn't. No, that's the point.
No, there's no he. Like the concept of the anchor being, if it doesn't make sense in the context of 616, there's no story. Like you don't have a story. Your story is nonsensical.
That
Exactly.
That's
It
the
works
reason-
for Deadpool, but if
That's the reason
If
in
it's-
616 that Loki had to become the new anchor.
yeah,
Or
if-
the reason why Robert Downey Jr. has to come back as the anchor being.
Well,
Without him, even the 616 timeline collapses.
I think he's coming from a different.
well, I don't think you understand what I'm saying.
No, actually, that's an interesting concept. As we were discussing that, I had this thought, by the way, about what you said.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of like reflecting back since I've seen the movie, and then also have the news now of Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom,
Yeah.
right? So now that I have that, and what you just said about it just reminded me, like, hey, wait a minute, maybe this anchor being business is how they end up bringing the Secret Wars. Because the Secret Wars was with the collapse of the multiverse, basically, the incursions and stuff like that. So maybe that is part of this, and that's what's causing that.
Wait, are they going
Anchor being deaths are causing the collapse of the multiverse.
Right.
I mean, that wouldn't. I mean,
It might be the angle they're going for, but I just thought about that after you were talking about it, and then we got the news about that, and I was like, hey, that might be the angle they're going with. For
they
this.
really could. I mean, honestly, just as far as the narrative is concerned, it could be interesting. I just think that in the intelligence of Ryan Reynolds when he's writing this movie, the comment that he's making about how much interest the fan base puts on one person, either performing the part or being in the project period, and if they're gone, people seem to become lackluster with it, and it's a very serious but funny social commentary that you don't like that Wolverine's dead and the whole thing collapsed, whatever,
even though the Wolverine dying was in a future time?
that he had to go back to
Yeah.
from current time.
That
It's
makes
all
sense to me
nonsensical.
now. That confused me at first, but it makes perfect sense to me that they're from the same. Deadpool is like a present time and same universe as the Logan movie.
Yeah,
That's why it's his
Logan's in the
universe,
future,
and that's
yeah.
why when he referred to his Wolverine did this, because it just happened in the future.
Right.
But like, I totally get what you're saying. I completely agree with it. But at the same time, like, it's this bridge between what we learned from the Deadpool movie. How does that bridge over to 616 and the greater Marvel multiverse? And it's just like in the comics, you have this problem. Like, Deadpool learns that, he meets Stan Lee, and the one above all, like Marvel editor, Joe Quesada. I don't know who's the editor now. Maybe it's Jim Lee. But like, and
No, he's in DC.
but like, and he goes and tells people about this is why this is happening. It's because Jim Lee decided this is what's happening, and it's like that works in a Deadpool movie, and it works for a character who is crazy in a 616 comic storyline. But there still needs to be a reason. It can't just be because Jim Lee decided this, because then you don't really have a story. So like I think that the anchor being is a Feige invention, and they use this in Deadpool in the way Deadpool would like envision it, right? His perspective, his unique perspective. But it does have a tie-in to the actual story element. And so all I was saying is that story element, at least for me, needs to make logical sense. on the 616 side, like because in that sense, it can't just be a metaphor. It can be a metaphor, but it needs to actually make sense for story purposes.
It can't just be like a celestial that falls into the ocean and is never brought up again.
Or comes up from the ocean.
I mean, like it.
Well,
I don't even remember what it was doing.
That might
Star
be brought
Fox is
up.
in
Like,
that
there's
movie.
always time to like bring that up again.
Well,
you know.
Especially with someone like Kang not being around anymore.
Yeah, time's gotten a lot more easy to deal with without Jonathan Majors
Without the
beating
one
people.
at the end.
And I'm talking about Scott Lang when I say that.
Who obviously was the anchor being for the sacred timeline.
No, realistically, let's all just own up to the fact that Scott Lang saved the universe. All right,
Yeah.
he kicked the ever-loving tush out of Kang. It didn't take the entire Avengers. There was no Kang War. There was the Lang War. Okay. Ant-Man saved the day. Let's just own that
Yeah,
for a
nobody gives him
minute.
credit
Let
for
that
that.
settle in.
It's the same thing as like
I'm going
you
to
don't
draw
know
that
how bad
comic,
it
the
could have
Lang
been.
War.
That's like when you prevent like something horrible from happening. Well, it didn't happen, so no one gives you credit for preventing that horror from
Yeah,
happening.
they're like, hey, good job, Star-Lord. And he's like,
Yeah.
Ant-Man, come
So-
on.
They're having to find a new anchor being for the 616 timeline because Kang is no longer here.
We assume it's Tony Stark.
I'm assuming it's Loki because he took on the throne.
Loki is the
That's
anchor
a
being
different-
for all reality.
See, that's
That
another
Loki is
weird
not 616 Loki.
concept with the anchor being thing too, because you've got Loki there, who's basically not only holding everything together, but it's like he is basically the multiverse at this point with all the
He's
time.
power.
He's the tree of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and everything flows basically through him.
And
You know?
even with Loki, Cassandra was about to ruin
Well,
everything.
Which, now,
It
hold on a
showed-
second. Pump the brakes.
Well, we don't know. that.
Again, that's not even the 616 Loki. That is a
It's
variant
very
Loki,
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
who is the center of reality.
And it's already been shown in Loki that he has the capability to regenerate the timelines.
But he's a branch
Yeah.
from 616.
So-
it's got to count for something.
He's 6196?
He's 616 adjacent.
Yeah. 616 adjacent.
616B.
Yeah.
Aren't they
Yeah.
all at this point? If
No,
it's
no.
From the Sacred Timeline was 616.
Did they say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the sacred timeline.
That's the
It
Sacred
is,
Timeline.
yeah.
That's
And
the timeline.
That's
of
the timeline
movie.
that Kang came from. That's the only reason it's sacred is because it's the one that Kang came from. The one
That Kang.
above them all. Yeah, that specific Kang.
Not all the Kings.
So in reality, any one of them could be the sacred.
All of the other
Whichever Kang won the Kang
Well,
Wars.
It's
All
really
the
sad
other
about that
Kangs-
because Kane is a really actually interesting character that he has never.
Oh,
the
it could
opportunity to get
fully
over.
be interesting. Now, I was willing to give Jonathan Majors a shot, even though I thought casting-wise, I didn't understand how the descendant of Reed Richards and a Latvian ruler ended up being a crazy Jonathan Majors. But ultimately, at the end of the day,
That's similar to.
and he was
Fantastic
even
Four.
like an unknown.
I thought he did a good job as Kang though.
He did good jobs as each
I
thing
didn't
that
like
he
him
was
as timely.
presented to doing.
I think he overacted his timeline.
Well, as timely though, the only time that you are Victor Timely is when you're the Kang who's won already, and you go back to be Victor Timely. This was depicted as a Victor Timely who had yet to be anything, and that's where Kang began. So it's like severing all ties with Reed Richards and Doctor Doom and anything else that Kang has to do with, which, in my opinion, it has nothing to do with Deadpool.
Well,
I'm sorry, I forgot. We were talking about Deadpool.
Well, it matters because the opening sequence of Deadpool and Wolverine
is the TVA?
Well, it's
is
interesting.
him slaughtering the TVA with Wolverine's body.
Well, they basically in the Deadpool Wolverine,
dancing.
they have established that what we've known for a long time, which was that all the Fox properties and stuff like that are part of the multiverse essentially.
Now they are, yeah.
Yeah. Now they are officially
They are sanctioned.
a part of it.
All
Yeah.
canon. Is it all canon?
No, it's
All of
only
it.
canon in another
Which means-
universe.
Yeah, another universe.
Which in another universe,
It's a
this
part
is
of
the
the greater
thing.
multiverse.
In another universe, there is a Tony of that universe who gets to fully enjoy watching a Marvel Cinematic Universe based around the Age of Apocalypse. Because we saw that Wolverine
Saw
show up
clips
as a
of it.
variant. Yeah.
Well, Hugh Jackman.
The
did
best
his
hair,
character. This
the
is
best
actually
attitude.
a problem now that I think about it. So, like, in the first Deadpool, like, Deadpool wears a Hugh Jackman mask. It's not it's not a Wolverine mask, it's a Hugh Jackman mask. So, in the context of Deadpool and now the Marvel Universe, there's a guy, like, both Hugh Jackman and Wolverine
Exist in the same
and they just
universe.
happen to look
They
exactly
look a
the
lot
same.
alike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One's not a mutant. though.
And one of them is playing one in the movie. So the X-Men in, like, say, Deadpool's universe are
Well,
popular enough
just
to
like-
have a movie franchise depicting their adventures.
Not just that, it is depicted in Logan that they're
the comics.
they were so famous they had comic books and movies made about them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so in that universe, the Deadpool and Logan universe, the actor they hired to play the real Wolverine happens to look just like the real Wolverine, and his name is Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, that's true.
I like that.
That's headcanon accepted for me.
Well, again, I'm so glad that they made this Deadpool Kills the Fox Universe movie.
it has got to be good because at the end of the day, when you hear about it and people say everything about the Fox movies and everything, they don't ever say, "Oh, remember all the X-Men? Remember all that screen time? that
Remember all the
Columbus
X-Men.
has
I'm looking forward to seeing some of these characters redone. Like, looking at you, Silver Samurai.
Oh, that was really
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
now see, okay, hold on.
That was cool for the time.
No, it wasn't. It was horrible for the time. Nobody liked it. But
I liked it.
I liked
But I like giant mechs.
you can have a giant mech without screwing a character over. There's now a lot of it that they implicated into that movie, and they took. This was the problem with Fox. They wanted to mash stories like MCU does. Now they started it. This is the thing. The MCU didn't start it. Fox started it.
Yeah.
And well, actually, Blade started it.
Blade.
You Monday through Friday. Sons of Baptist preachers. Blade started it. And to be fair, we all have to give a proper salute to Wesley Snipes for giving Marvel the money to continue limping on at a time frame where they're going bankrupt. So the black leather clad vampire killer vampire was literally what saved Marvel Comics. And
Is he why the X-Men all wore black leather?
I am assuming that when Bryan Singer watched that, he just assumed that all superheroes did wear black leather and should be slapped until they act the way he wants them to. Which, I
With
think
Black Leather.
at this point we've proven that black leather is not needed.
No.
We don't look for it. We don't want it as a consumer base. And I think this is what really is fun about Ryan Reynolds as a human being, is that he's a part of the consumer base. He likes the stories. He likes the comic books. He wants to present you a Deadpool in a Deadpool outfit, not some weird stitched up character in a very, very bad Wolverine movie with a horrible rendition of Gambit. Deadpool as Ryan Reynolds literally came in, and this is what he would do with DC if they allowed him. If Warner Brothers said, "Hey, you want to redo a Green Lantern movie?" He's like, "Yeah, but I do it my way," and then it becomes amazingly popular because he says, "This is what people want. They want to see these characters. They want to see these suits. They
He
want
starts
to see
off by not casting himself.
He does a fantastic job, and I think that at the end of the day, Ryan Reynolds is good. He's a good media man.
Yeah.
Good actor, good
He is,
at knowing what it is that sells.
And now that's what I like about that. And which funny fact about Green Lantern, real quick. He did an interview, and he actually mentioned that his family, the entire family, sat down and watched Green Lantern for the first time. Like, the kids finally saw Green Lantern for the first time, like, right before the Deadpool and Wolverine movie came out.
Well, you want to know
Like, it's
how
real
Mommy and
recent,
Daddy met, yeah.
and he's like, yeah, he goes, yeah, we sat down and watched it, But it's funny because, that's what's great about him, is that he can laugh at himself about stuff. He knows that was just, when he was shooting it, he knows, like, this is not going to be great.
He actually showed up at my
he's a good
base when Green Lantern was about to premiere. He came out to Miramar to make an appearance, and they gave me the day off. The headquarters squadron actually said, you know what, Stevens is allowed the day off. He can go and watch this Green Lantern movie. show up, and he premiered the movie for us. Gives us a speech leading into the movie, and then faster than Quicksilver, or even more mysteriously than Nightcrawler, he bamfed. Which, I get it. You're famous. You got a lot of things to do, hands shake, stuff like that. And I was like, that makes sense. And then the movie happened. And I realized he didn't want to see it either. And, you know, I found that very depressing. I even liked him as Hannibal King in the Blade series. Which, if you think about it, Ryan Reynolds has been on the Marvel superhero train since Inception. Well,
Inception.
Third installment.
Yeah, he was
of
in the third movie.
The Blade movies.
Yeah, then of course he went from there and had that one role that we just don't speak of
Van Wilder.
in Origins.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you can't speak of it because your mouth is stitched.
Yeah.
But about him with the cameos, like I will say,
That was Barack.
especially with the cameos and Deadpool and Wolverine, with them basically kind of tying these things together. One, they didn't do just a fan service, which I liked great. You know, it's like we're just not gonna throw these guys in here for just like a split second and then just remove them just unnecessarily. You know?
Oh, are you talking about Sam Raimi just premiering people, making them say stupid things and then get killed unilaterally in some nonsensical way?
Right? Like, I mean,
Thanks, Sam Raimi. We appreciate it when you don't direct movies.
for instance, like with Doctor Strange, you know, they brought back Black Bolt from the series.
Yeah.
Like the
We got Black Bolt. We got our fan casting of Reed Richards, everybody's dream
you've
cast.
got
Krasinski, yeah.
Peggy
Yeah.
Carter as Captain America, you know?
We got a weird Captain Marvel, who we now realize is actually binary or something.
Right.
In some X-Men universe somewhere.
So you had some brilliant, then you had Professor X.
The
know.
beloved
Right.
Sir Patrick Stewart. And I think that Sam Raimi should write him an apology letter.
He became a great meme now.
He did. He did. But somehow a
Dies
mutant
of cringe.
is able to kill Professor X in his mind with his abilities.
Well, he has the same abilities as like Cassandra Nova. You know, if you
He had
want.
the ability, he could have shut any of that off in
Yeah.
a minute. Reed Richards
At the speed
would
of
never
thunder.
have said, "This is what this guy does, don't hurt him." He would have said, "Hey, Black Bolt can tell you where your kids are. Let him tell you."
Yeah.
He'll whisper it
This
to you.
guy can sit here and send a telepathic message light years away to another alien homeworld.
Yeah. Literally doesn't have to even be in this room.
I
We're
mean,
talking about like this is
Come on, like
this
is what he's
world's
capable of.
Avengers. This
Yeah.
world's Avengers because they're the
So
Illuminati.
anyways, it was just to me. It just felt like all that part was in Doctor Strange, just a fan service, and that was
Yeah.
it. But
That's
Deadpool
all it was
Wolverine,
intended to be.
it was more than that. It was like
Yeah.
it wasn't just for the fans to see these characters come back
It
again,
was for the
or even
characters to get a
characters
chance.
that were in the works that Fox never actually greenlit all the
Yeah,
way.
they
You
nixed
know,
it.
it wasn't just that; they actually made him an integral part of the story.
Yeah.
and it was great. It was like, thank you, like you actually gave him some meaningful screen time.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is that gives them as human beings, as actors,
Bit of
artists, it gives them a closure and a completion to an artwork, and not just a joke or a meme made about them. It gives them that, and I think that in the movie, as we see in order of appearance, Elektra,
Yeah.
and then Blade.
It was Human Torch before.
Well, yeah, poor.
He was
poor
the
you.
first.
Well, now this is what's really funny to me, and I'm going to point this out. And this is funny, taking it full circle back to the joke about Dan falling asleep to the Fantastic Four movie. There is absolutely nothing of that movie that even exists in the void. That is the worst movie. So poorly done, just so that Fox could continue to own the rights to Fantastic Four, that you don't even see two Human Torches or an alternate Reed Richards. You only see Chris Evans,
Exactly.
who was the anchor being of that Fantastic Four movie. Now, in that, and that being said, and when most people like to say that Deadpool's the merc with the mouth, we learn that there's the original, the first mouth of Marvel history. and he gets to
Yes.
have his day. He says stuff that I don't even think my older brother could have come up with. Like, man,
Yes.
excellent.
That was great.
Good for you, Johnny. But he did cost too much money, so they had to kill him.
Well,
you only get X months.
they used pyro to do it, though.
Well, not really, but
No.
free pirate.
If he hadn't taken him down,
But he
then
could
they
have still
wouldn't
done
have
his
been
thing. It's got, all he has to do is say flame on. I mean, like at that point. You're
Does
good.
he have to say it?
But
Yes! It's like Go Web Go.
That's lame.
it's
Thanks again for that, Sam Raimi.
but
Every
we were
time.
talking about though with the cameos. That's like Elektra coming in and Blade.
Yes, so them coming
the
in.
only
and
Blade
them-
who's ever existed, even though there was a
Yeah.
TV show that they tried to make.
Oh my god, okay. So we're all in the same movie theater, and we can tell you right off the bat, the second that Wesley Snipes came in,
It lit up.
everybody lost their freaking minds.
Yeah.
More than any other thing in that movie. Wesley Snipes had his day.
Yep.
And being the man who put together a lot of this superhero hype from the get-go in the time of the night, if you're a dude that can make people excited about a superhero movie in the 90s, when grunge, hatred of the government, and an apathy towards all life was the mainstay, you're doing something,
Yeah.
man. You're not just skating uphill.
Yeah.
So that, I think people lost more of their minds over than anything else. Even the amazing Gambit showing up, and I will say 98% accurate to comic books. Channing Tatum did a great job. Now, is he the most perfect person for the part? I don't know. But he did do a great job. I do not like that they didn't give him his contacts. And maybe
Yeah.
he didn't want to wear them. But the black eyes with the red
Yeah.
irises would have just completely taken it over the top for me.
CGI, man.
Yeah, do whatever you got to do. Like at that point, I want him to see those eyes.
Yeah.
But
At
these
least when
eyes,
he's
being-
using the power.
well, in this sense, you know, when he's being himself, he's generating a little bit more innocence and sympathy for us because we're hearing the Channing Tatum that was upset that his character got nixed.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
seeing the Channing Tatum that never got to have his heyday, and he's getting to have it.
Yeah.
And that was great.
All those references about them being in the void and the reasons why and stuff, like all of them were great. Elektra's, his. He's like, yeah, I never even got my chance. I was
And then
been sitting
Daredevil
here
was
since I was
there?
a baby. I was like,
Yeah, I never got to live.
Yeah,
I never got to live. But they even bring up
But
Daredevil, so you know that the
Daredevil
Ben
had been
Affleck
there?
is there.
yeah.
But he got killed going up against Cassandra Nova and Elektra. The meta joke there about being okay with it, because we all know that Ben is doing great because J-Lo. But they were once upon a time a thing.
Yeah, they were.
So that's a good meta joke.
Yeah.
Like almost all of it's a great meta joke.
Yeah, and with that, it was fun to see Elektra come back because again, she was another one of those I call them victim of.
They just
Fox movies.
forgot to make any more movies about her.
Well, they did a poor concept and they did a poor follow through. And Jennifer Garner is not a bad actress.
No.
She is a fun person. I mean, from the things I've seen of her, she seems to be quite an honest, easy to get along with, funny person. It's not a problem with being like a horrible actor or a bad person to get
And you
along
could
with.
tell she put in the work to fit
She
fit
did
the role again.
Yeah, getting her psi work back down, the katas, and just her general physical fitness. I mean, we can all at the end of the day say, look at Hugh Jackman, he's 55 and he's huge, jacked man, like he's amazing looking, and which he is. Not to take any credit away
He
from
doesn't do
him.
this till he's 90.
He is doing great, but he's got those Australian genetics. I don't know, they build him different there. Have you seen Thor? But
Have you seen the Outback? I think you have to be.
you have to be like if you have to.
Kangaroos are huge and jacked, man.
Yeah.
Kangaroos will jack you up, man.
Well, it's like when your buddy's like, "Hey, bloke, you want to go down for a swim?" It's like, no, this is the same day that the great white shark and the saltwater crocodile are going to eat me. So yeah, man.
And then
that's
they
true.
got stingrays, which is what
Nobody
took
wants
out.
that. Nobody wants that. Even that little itty bitty octopus that glows in the dark. Nobody wants that. But Jennifer Garner did a great job. She was very physically fit. She got into the part. Channing Tatum, I saw some of the behind the scenes stuff of him practicing the maneuvers.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he didn't. I mean, I think a lot of it got to Magic Mike its way in there. Like his dance moves and stuff.
But he also went to Louisiana to learn how to speak like that.
No, he actually got a TVA time device and traveled back in time and grew up in Louisiana. Now, this is the thing about the Cajun and the Louisiana accent. It is not easy to do. It is something that is, generally speaking, only capable of if you're grown there. And even being grown there, you, depending on your neighborhood, talk in different dialects. So just the Cajun alone would be incredibly hard to learn, but then to learn point being, he did a good job. I think before this, the only person I'd ever heard that spoke like people from New Orleans, from when we used to go there for my family when I was a kid, was John Goodman. John Goodman did an amazing job. It's an old cop movie way back in the day, but John Goodman was able to speak that New Orleans accent and did a good job of it. But Channing, I think that we all owe him a huge round of applause. Looked good, sounded good, used some proper Cajun,
Oh yeah.
and is now a meme of success. He's going to make a name for himself, and he did.
He did.
And people are using that not in a mean way.
Don't think you're gonna walk away from this.
Oh yeah, like he's done so well that people are making it a positive meme. Which, as we know, meme culture in America is mostly a negative bullying aspect. This sense, it's actually like an applause.
Yeah. He made the name.
Good job, Channing.
The algorithm talks to me differently.
And we're going to remember this day.
You're gonna remember this now.
But
Ah,
speaking of Cassandra Nova,
yes.
when she rolled out in the chair,
Yeah.
That lets you know exactly who you were dealing with.
I knew she was going to be in the movie, and I still thought that was going to be Charles.
No. When she stood up, she looked good. Like hella level good.
You know, going back to what we were talking about me reading the Krakoan Age, like, yeah, I saw her in the Krakoa, right? And how she helped out Kitty Pryde and everything. And, yeah, like, she was merciless in there. And to actually see that represented, like, on film, was like, oh my gosh, like, this is the care. Like, they did a great job of capturing the essence of the psychoticness of that character and the power that she has, and like displaying it.
Well, and even taking it back to the Grant Morrison new X-Men era where she was introduced, and she could do the fingers through the head and like twirling in and out of the nose, and like the fingers just popping out, and it's like there's so many layers of non-consensual violation within the Cassandra Nova character. She is violating you like physically and mentally and like to your soul.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's violating your soul. And they showed it really well.
And somebody actually pulled pictures from the comics that were almost perfect matches for the pose that they had her in when her fingers were through the person's
Trask.
face.
Yeah, she did it to Trask. Actually, I don't think it was his face. I think it was like his chest or something like that. But
this one was
Yeah,
coming out of
she
the
did it
guy's
through
face.
his chest and his face and everything.
Yeah.
And it was like Trask's grandkid. She just needed his DNA to wake up the Sentinels. But
I think in that comic too, it says something about like it took her just a few minutes to like actually like decode the entire genetic structure of himself.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, geez.
yeah, she's no joke, and they showed us that she's no joke in this movie.
Yeah.
And as far as a performance,
She did.
presence, and because we're no stranger to the fandom on the internet saying, well, Marvel villains are just like candy cutters and they only show up for like 5 minutes, they have no character depth, which I have to say I disagree with a little bit. You got Thanos, who's got huge character depth and showed up to have a movie all about himself. Loki,
Well,
who people are now saying is the greatest hero, but he's a villain dog, and don't forget it.
you got some that they really didn't treat really well, like
No,
Crossbones.
no.
Crossbones, like they
I think he
did
got as
him
good
wrong.
as he got as good as he was going to get, as far as being Crossbones, not associated with the
What
Red Skull.
Taskmaster?
Taskmaster got
also.
kind of a raw deal. Maybe in the future inception of the Thunderbolts, they'll give her more, so that we don't care so much that Tony Masters got nixed to become Antonia Dragonoff, I think. Draco's daughter, Dracova, however you say it.
Interesting, yeah.
But
Design choices.
maybe they'll do something to make us care. My thing
Yeah.
is if you're going to do any kind of racial or gender swap, I don't care, but give me a character that I can care about.
Yeah.
You know
Like
what I mean?
Mephisto.
Yeah, I mean, well,
I
just
want
give me
Mephisto
something.
to be a thing. I was
Yeah, I
so
know.
disappointed in WandaVision that Mephisto had nothing to do with it.
That it was Agatha all along.
And I'm hoping Agatha all along
Yeah.
Shows us that
shows
it
us
was Mephisto all along.
Yeah, well, because they're witches. What do you think? Like,
You know,
that?
what's her name? I was talking about the Agatha all along.
Yeah.
The chick from Legion's in it. Oh gosh, what's her name? The crazy chick. The one.
Oh, the one that plays the Shadow King. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, but then she gets like resurrected later in the series.
Tim
The one that
Curry-
you like from
is Tim Curry still
Parks and
alive?
Recreations.
Aubrey Plaza.
Because
Aubrey
if
Plaza.
he
Oh,
could
yeah,
play
she's in the
Mephisto.
Agatha all along. Like we saw her, we're
Oh,
like,
really?
oh, this is gonna be fantastic
I like
because
Aubrey
Plaza.
this
Wait.
is her role.
I had
Yeah.
not seen
Now, that said, and them owning Fox,
that. Oh, that brings
would
Legion
Aubrey
in.
Plaza actually be playing Shadow King?
Oh,
I don't know.
Well,
If that was related, I would actually sign on to watch this.
I would
whole
watch.
thing.
And I will say, talking about Fox problems
Oh.
again with Legion, the Shadow King, like in the series, like he
Yeah.
was phenomenal. Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
actor, he did a fantastic job. Like I would love to see him come back.
Yeah.
Like the actor, you know, he did.
Well, and Dan Stevens too.
Yeah.
Dan
Yes,
Stevens
Dan
is one of
Stevens
my
is Legion.
favorite guys. And the actor Dan Stevens, who's named like my cousin, is also a very good actor.
But going back to
what
you
is-
talking about with Mephisto, though, like
Tim Curry is still alive, and he should do the voice.
Tim Curry should be Mephisto.
He should be.
I feel
Or,
like
well, now this is the
You
thing,
need to
and
choose
if
Ghost
we're
Rider
going to
too,
be
though.
like really on board with this,
I don't know how old he
I
is.
want to say, I'm just pressing this a little
Yeah.
bit, but how old is Peter Fonda? Could he come back as Mephistopheles?
Is he alive?
Or, in a good nod, could we have the craziest actor of all time, Nicolas Cage, do it?
No.
No!
No.
I think Cage could do it.
could do it.
Nicolas
yes.
Cage is
Will
Ghost
he
Rider.
do
though.
it? I don't know.
He's got the hairline, he's got the
Okay.
insanity.
And
Peter
Ghost
Fonda
Rider's totally
cannot
part of the
do it.
MCU now.
Okay, I will say in
He-
Agents of
he
Shield,
passed,
I did
like,
like Robbie Reyes.
5 years ago.
Robbie Reyes was
Ghost
good
Rider.
too.
Like the actor, he did. I think he did a pretty good job as Ghost Rider in Agents of Shield.
Oh, Robbie Ray,
Yeah.
the
I
Luna?
don't like that version of it.
Gabriel Luna?
Yeah,
You may not like that version of the character, but Gabriel Luna was probably the
He
best
did a good job.
representation of a Ghost Rider in a cinematic universe. Nicolas
want
Cage
either-
is Nicolas Cage. I
The
love it.
Dan Ketch version where it's not Zarathros or Johnny Blaze. And I think they're going to go with Johnny Blaze because that's the
Well,
Ghost Rider.
I
It's
feel
the
like
originals.
for them to introduce Mephisto, they need to go the route of the Midnight Suns,
Yeah.
and they need to set that up. And Blade is integral to that.
That
So they
needs
need
to be like a Netflix.
Give me Blade. Give
Or-
me back Doctor Strange without any kind of Sam Raimi take
That needs
on
to
it.
be like a series instead of a movie, though.
Give us magic.
Yes.
Do Midnight
And
Suns
you could do a whole
as
Dark
a
Hole thing
series.
where there's pages that they're hunting down.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes. They've got all the elements that they need access to, but
like Midnight Suns would be a perfect Netflix series setup as far as like budget wise. There's
So-
nothing grandiose
Yeah,
about
so
it.
Except they're going to do it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but he's talking about like the setup style of it.
Yeah,
You know, and it's to have like a Blade run. You
Oh.
don't have to have a huge budget to have a Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
Buffy did it when there were no budgets,
Yeah.
and I think that's self-explanatory.
Blade.
And the special
Uh,
effects for a Ghost Rider is not
We could even have a
$2
Doctor Strange where
Well,
it's
okay.
kind of low key Doctor Strange.
Look at the budget they spent on Secret Invasion.
Wait,
Yeah, but you don't have to overspend.
how much did it actually
To do
cost
bad
to
stuff.
really poorly
Hold on.
CGI Drax's
Hold on.
arm onto the Mother of Dragons?
Well, let
It
me
was
tell you,
very costly.
What's going
That
on?
was costly?
And I've said it
Yeah.
so many times, so many different people. The problem with Disney's productions that suck, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars.
$212 million for 6 episodes.
But,
The
but they just
reason
recently
why-
got rid of a bunch of people who were causing a lot of that overspending.
Yeah,
So-
well, yeah, it's not overspending. It's well, it is, but like, so the budget's not the concern. It's
No,
they're
it's not.
overreaching. There's always so many talented people in the pool of talented people, and they depleted it. And so now they have all these stuff that they're coming out, but there's no talented people to make it. But they're still spending the same amount of money on it. That's my opinion. Is that
Yeah.
Disney has too many things in production and not enough people with the talent to produce it, right?
Well,
And-
the thing is that these
Yeah.
shows, like, not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm sorry, Secret Invasion.
And the Acolyte as well. Sorry.
I haven't even
that
watched
could
it
have
all
been
the way
better.
through.
That was
I mean,
that was hundreds.
no, I'm sorry, I quit.
So,
Yeah,
what you were saying,
I watched all of it.
to
I'm
kind
sorry.
of put this in perspective, it was $224 million was the budget for Secret Invasion for 6 episodes.
Uh-huh.
Deadpool Wolverine had a budget of $220.
Same budget.
Oh,
So yeah, you're right. It's not the money that's the issue. It's
It's
the
not the
talent.
money. It's the
Yeah.
talent.
Well, but see, the thing is that you had Samuel L. Jackson. You have talent. You had
Don't you know?
the actress that played Maria Hill. Her name
Oh,
escapes me right
Kobe
now.
Smulders.
Kobe Smulders. Talented. All of these talented people showed up to be in the show. Now what you need is
Kobe's-
a writer.
Yes.
Give me a good writer, which that is
A
apparently
ghostwriter.
hard to find because they will go on strike as soon as a new AI program comes out. But give me a good writer and give me a good director. Because if you're a good enough director, and I'd have to say this through and through, CGI cannot make up for how you shoot a scene. You can shoot a scene without even using special effects and make it seem to me as if something superior is
I was
occurring.
there before CGI.
Well, it's just
Yeah.
gonna be interesting.
Sure.
So, like, that was the issue with Borderlands, right? There's nothing inherently wrong with the film. It's just boring. And the reason it's boring, it's heavily action oriented, but the action is like, bam, bam, I shoot you. The camera angles aren't interesting. There's no storytelling
Jack
with the
Black is
action.
claptrap, and it still can't pull the weight. I mean,
So-
Jack Black is amazing.
Well,
So, like,
Well,
for
Kevin
example,
Hart,
if you take a
Jack
James
Black.
Gunn action film scene from
Yeah.
Guardians, like a slow motion, there's a corridor, they have to get to the other end, there's a bunch of guards. They'll have slow motion scenes happening, but they'll be telling a story. There'll be something funny about the action, there'll be something interesting.
Well, not
it'll be
everybody can be
entertaining.
James Gunn, though.
Ex-
Like,
That's my
literally,
point, exactly.
I understand where you're
There's
coming
only
from, but
one
they're
James
not,
Gunn. There's not
Dick-
half a dozen. So if you
Right,
have half
it's
a
a talent
dozen,
issue.
if you have half a dozen projects, James Gunn can't do all of them.
Unless you're DC and you're willing to pay James Gunn to do all of them.
Then
But-
that takes
wait,
time.
James Gunn is the
But
Wolverine
James
of directing.
Gunn came from very unknown places to do that amazing
Yeah.
thing. And I think that they think that pulling big names is what's going to get us to buy a movie. I am sorry, but giving me Sam Raimi's name is not going to make me buy a ticket to a movie.
Well, he was hired
If
because he's
anything-
a competent director.
Well, he's competent as a director. And I'm not going to say he's not. I don't like his ideas, but he is not bad at what he does. So let me be clear about that. He is good at his artwork, and for those that like that sort of thing, that's the sort of thing that they like. I personally don't like any of his work. But they can still bring people in that are willing to do the trade. We've got to build new names along the way. But the whole point is like, instead of just having something absurdly stupid, such as, this is a super scroll. Okay, what do super scrolls do? Well, they have weird metamorphical arms. No, dog. I'm sorry, let me break this down for you. Super scrolls take on the power sets of those that they're given. So the original got the Fantastic Four. Why did he have one big weird arm? Because he could turn it into the Thing. It's coated in rock. What is the point of having this little beautiful woman have one Drax arm.
Yes.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
What about the frost giant power? What? Who cares? Out of all the super beings on the planet, that's what you do. Electricity is probably one of the cheapest stunts they could have done. And you've got people with powers like Thor or something running around, or speedsters.
The problem with the Secret Invasion on that end, I believe, was the factor that they had, it's tied to Fantastic Four, but they hadn't introduced the Fantastic Four, so they had to kind of redo how they were presenting the
With
Super
what
Squad.
they've had.
Yeah.
But
And
even
it
at that,
it didn't work very well
Yeah.
at all for what they
No.
were trying to accomplish.
it didn't work well whatsoever because it wasn't what if you want to give me a Nick Fury show, give me a Nick Fury show. I would throw money at you for, and people who know me know this. He's on my keychain.
Yeah.
I would throw money at you for Samuel L. Jackson any day of the week. But where's the espionage?
Right?
Where's the actual?
Yeah, the Winter Soldier was better, like the espionage and the
better.
intrigue and stuff like
Yes.
that.
You can't get the Russos to do everything either.
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yeah, that's the problem with that, you know. And they do have some capable people. I mean, like for instance, even new talent, like we were talking about, like Black Panther, Ryan Coogler.
Coogler? Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't a known director before Black Panther.
But he's doing a good job at being a director.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like that was like his first like large budget movie like that, and he just knocked it out of the park.
So what we're
You know?
saying is
And
Ryan Reynolds.
So it's not just about like, for instance, hiring Sam Raimi. You know, it's like looking for this talent like him
Like
and
unique
putting them on the
talent.
films. Unique
Like-
talent. Yeah.
Like as in like a style, right?
Black Panther was a unique film. When you look at the rest of the MCU, if you look at the rest of it, it was a unique film in the way that it was presented, the culture, you know, to heavily focus on the culture and everything. It was far different than other MCU
Well,
films.
even his shots, his action shots, because I think this is the thing. Like when you look at the shows directed for Netflix, the Defenders series of shows,
Yeah.
they had a very good director doing a lot of the I couldn't tell you off the top of my head who did Daredevil, but the work that they put into Daredevil probably came in with less of a budget than some of the things because of the CGI BS. Practical stunts at the end of the day are going to sell everything.
Oh, yeah.
And that Daredevil show proves that case. They
Yeah.
did that one scene where he's escaping a prison and they do the rope technique where it's all one shot, no cuts. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
you give me a Nick Fury show about that and I'll watch it.
Well, talking about shot stuff like that, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the part where the Deadpool core show up.
Oh God, down the
Oh,
street.
Yeah, the whole that whole street scene where they're just working their way down the street.
Yeah.
Like I sat there and when I first saw it, I'm sitting here and my eyes are bouncing because where it
So much.
starts, you've got Wolverine in the background, you've got Deadpool in the foreground.
Yeah.
But then they end up swapping
Yeah.
throughout the scene as that scene moves and they move throughout the street. And I'm just sitting there like, who am I supposed to keep track of? What's going on?
Who's going to be
'Cause
more fun
I'm
in this
focusing
moment?
on Deadpool, but I'm missing Wolverine over
But
here.
then you
So-
get like 20 Deadpools on one Wolverine. And he's just stabbing
Yes.
at one of them.
It
Oh
was
my
just
God,
like-
yeah.
It was great. And then, thankfully to some people who recorded it and put it on social media.
Shame on them.
Shame on them. But I got to see it again. And this time I got to actually focus on the other guy. So I watched it a couple times. And I did one focus on Deadpool and saw the entire thing. And I did the other one focus solely on Wolverine and saw the entire thing.
And then on the other Deadpools.
And
Yeah,
then-
yeah,
and then you
exactly.
did
Then my
another one.
brain basically did a review, like, okay, now let's put it all together. What did I actually see? You know?
What you actually saw was the beginning of that scene. What was the most amazing thing, and this is what I find truly telling of what we as a culture, as a people, as a fandom want. That whole scene was set in tone by one action. All it took was Hugh Jackman reaching behind his head. Everybody started losing their minds, cats and dogs living together, everything going insane because he put on a mask.
Yeah.
That is literally
Finally.
How many years did we have to wait for Schuler Donner to never give him a mask? It was in his suitcase or something at the end of the Wolverine, and then it still never happened in Logan.
Okay.
Now, he puts it on. Dude, that made the freaking movie right there. It was amazing. He even kept it on after his shirt was blown off.
Yeah.
And let's go before that to where Handsome Pool got shot.
Oh, you mean Ryan Reynolds' shield, Captain America's shield?
Yeah.
That was.
Don't worry though, because he's going to regenerate. You don't have regeneration.
How long does it take you to do that?
Thinking about that, going back and thinking about that though, like, you know, in the character of Deadpool, like, he probably already put two and two together that he doesn't have regeneration because for instance, he was still beautiful looking.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, all the Deadpools, they all are scarred in some way because of that's just the effect of the regeneration. Like, if you have that, then you had regenerated powers. It's like the drawback of it. But he did not. And also, he wore a lot of body armor, a lot heavier than all the other Deadpools.
Yeah.
If you regenerate like Deadpool does, you don't need armor because you're going to regenerate. So I think he kind of put all that together and did it completely on purpose for sure. You know, now that I go back and think about it. And
So that he could adopt the dog?
No, he just wanted the pistols.
And the pistols.
It was the gold pistols, man.
But he also wanted
Look,
the dog.
If you ever played Army of Two, you know that when you pimp out your gun and make it gold-plated, you draw aggro from the enemy. And that's what the Handsome Pool did. He pimped out his Desert Eagles with gold plate and it drew aggro from Deadpool.
Well, there was a reason that he didn't hang out with the other pools, too.
Well, when he did, he made sure he had dog pool.
Yeah.
But it was funny because Wolverine knew what he was. He's like, you just killed him. He's like, he's going to regenerate. That was just so hilarious. And then he didn't stop there. It's like, oh, I'm going to use it as a shield as I move over here.
It was pretty funny, man. The whole movie was well done. I've seen it twice now. I'm about to see it again for the third time tomorrow. And I gotta say, I think what I find great about it, because it like you can point out. I mean, I'm sure anybody from IGN or some critic tomato score or whatever is going to try to point out, it's not the most deep plot that you've ever found.
Yeah.
But I think that's the point. It is the metaphors and the intense thought behind what they're saying about the culture of it that is hilarious and also kind of gives you a fresh look at some of the other stuff. And trying to take an honest look at the X-Men movie franchise by the hard work that they put into it, the effort that they tried to make some good stuff, and that when we did see them, X-Men 1, X-Men 2, we were freaking out. We were doing a lot of freaking out. I mean, I remember when my buddy Kyle, he used to play it was like a 30 to 45 second trailer on the TV, and we found it on the internet, and he's like, wait, watch, it's Colossus. And we're all amped to see that movie because we knew that Colossus was going to be in it, and Wolverine was going to get to go berserker. Yeah. It was going to be great. Well, we at least got to see Wolverine go berserker.
Yes.
Colossus showed up for like 10 seconds, if that. That's fine. Daniel Cudmore, if you're out there, I'm sorry they were too cheap to pay for your metal skin. But at the end of the day, I just think it gives a good perspective on these people as artists and trying to give you an art form that you want as a fan and that you can love and appreciate them for. And so I really like that. And by appreciation, I also I've either been building up to this or I am remiss to say that I have yet to say this, but Laura Kinney.
Yeah.
X-23. Oh my, I mean, one of my favorite things from Logan, my daughter's favorite thing. It's no secret that at my house we're a lot of Wolverine fans. And X-23 is a fantastic character and well done.
Yeah.
The pink sunglasses.
The
It
sunglasses
was so
are
great that she
fantastic.
pulled back the sunglasses.
The sunglasses was almost as good as watching her put on a mask. Like that was excellent. Speaking of Acolyte, I'm sure glad she got to come here as X-23, so she didn't have to be just a joke in the Disney universe as being Swiss cheese.
She was good in that show.
She was the only good part of that show.
For half the season.
For half the season. Oh, well, that's where I stopped watching because she wasn't in it
Oh,
anymore.
I
spoilers.
almost stopped watching after the first episode when the main character from the trailer
Trinity?
died.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When I signed on to this show to watch Trinity, and then I found out you're going to give me X-23 and you killed both of them and really ridiculous. Screw you. Screw
Well,
you. That was horrible.
You talking about the plot actually made me think about the movie a little more too. Is that to me it felt like with this movie, it wasn't really more about the plot. It was more about the characters.
Yeah.
Like you got to see like the characters and the growth, and you know they really dove in and made you care about them.
Yeah.
Like for instance, like Deadpool. Like he's going through a midlife crisis, you know, because he's rejected, and everything he's doing, you know, he's being rejected. You know, and he's just trying to he is trying to be worthy
And-
in his eyes of, you know, being the superhero and being this guy, you
And
know.
that's after the second movie where he fixed the universe.
Exactly. You know? But then not only that, but also you have the Wolverine, you have him, and you have his tragic backstory of basically he wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know, all of his friends died,
Well, he killed them all.
you know.
Well, not just the survivor's guilt, but the fact that
Yeah.
he's out and drunk.
The killer's
whatever.
guilt.
Like he wasn't there for his team.
Yeah.
No, he
You know?
was there. That was the problem.
There can be a debate endlessly on
Based upon what was said in the movie.
what plot line they're going with. But
you know, he basically, you know, that guilt of basically he didn't come through for his team like he should have.
right.
You know, which obviously when that happens, you just avoid any kind of team up. Period.
Yeah.
The only reason why he even teamed up with Deadpool to begin with was because of the educated wish that the timeline could be restored, so that everything bad that this Wolverine had done could be undone.
But then the ultimate lesson in the movie when you have, and I can't think of her name right now from the TVA, the agent that got become the head of the TVA.
B-23?
B-23. And when the hunter, yeah. And so when she shows up, and that moment, that actual moment of this is a good lesson. I mean, if I could get over all the blood and the gore to be able to show this to my 5-year-old, I would. Just because that lesson, if he was able to pick it up there at the end, where the fact that she says no, that person that you are, the person that did this just now, had to survive that horrible stuff. All that stuff in your life that you wish would go away has to be there. It's a part of you. It's a part of what makes you who you are. It's a part of what makes you stronger or just weak enough to say yes to the right circumstance to become stronger. So that was a great lesson in the movie. And overall, the fact that it's a good love letter to those actors, to those characters, and what you said before, they made you care. And like my good buddy, I always talk to him about movies. His name's John. He's not actually a Sean bot, but John McClay always tells me, you have to make me care. If you can't make me care within the first 5 minutes about this character or what's going on in the movie, why am I even here? Why am I committed to watching it end? Which I can honestly say, as a consumer of media, it's not often that I walk away. Acolyte, you win an award, because I have never really walked away from finishing a show just to be mad at it. I even watched all of the Michael B. Jordan Fantastic Four all the way to the end, just to be mad at it. And I even feel bad for him, like he got a rough break. You know, I can be joking about MBJ all day long, but you got a rough break, kid. That was a horrible movie.
He did much better as
Killmonger.
Killmonger, oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was a way better Killmonger.
Yeah.
Even if I don't like the character that much, I mean that's a depraved character, which he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that's good.
You're not supposed to like the character.
No. Yeah, at the end of the day, you're really not supposed to like the villain. I keep having this.
But we like Thanos for some reason.
Well, I have this discussion with my son all the time because, who's your favorite hero? Carnage! You're not. See, you're using the word, and I don't think you really know what it means. Your hero. Who's your favorite hero? Piss Cassidy! Carnage! Oh, man. Hanging out with Scott too much. So
I mean, he's just sitting over there.
I know. Like, every
staring
time
you down.
Jack comes over here, he's like, "I love Carnage," and it's like, yeah, well.
I went through a time when I loved Carnage too.
Carnage is always my favorite symbiote.
Well, but we always love villains, and I think that the reason, I think people always do. Like, it's a thing that we really do appreciate. No hero is a hero without a good villain, and no villain is a good villain without a good story. And they're the antagonist. They're the reason why the story's happening, And so I think with this, at the end of the day, is it Cassandra Nova? No. Is it Deadpool or Wolverine? No. Is it Paradox? Not really. It's Fox. Fox was the villain that pushed this movie.
Which, without Fox buying property from Marvel would have gone broke.
No, and they did what they needed to do. And Schuler Donner, I think they really committed to Laura Schuler Donner. I think they wanted to do some great things, and they had some ideas. And again, it's like appreciating the artist for the art form.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to draw a picture and put it out there and have somebody say, "Man, you really suck at drawing."
But when you look at it, what they were coming from, we had Blade, we had Punisher.
Yeah. Who's successful right now? People want to watch Arnold Schwarzenegger blow up a helicopter with a bazooka to save his daughter from another over-testosteroned bad guy.
It was definitely a different time.
Well, also different people have their different niches. Like, for instance, like M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. I don't think I want to see an M. Night Shyamalan as a movie.
No, but if you look at...
You can. It's
if
called
you look
Split
at his films.
and Broken Glass.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, exactly.
That's his superverse.
If you look at those, fantastic. Then you also realize that he's also the one who directed The Last Airbender.
He did not do a good job by presenting that movie. The movie wasn't bad.
Oh, I thought you were saying... Okay. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember that existed now.
Yeah.
I had blocked it out successfully. I appreciate that.
I paid somebody a lot of money to block that out.
No,
It wasn't...
more.
Cassandra went in and took that memory out for me.
I just put it right back in. I put a deposit right back in the mind bank for you. You're welcome.
I don't think it was a bad movie as far as cinematics are concerned. So, like you're saying, M. Night Shyamalan's not a bad director.
No, I just don't think he fits.
He didn't understand the spirit.
Right.
And I've said this so many times, and this is where it comes down to with like Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, any of these movies that they presented to us. Has it been 100% comic book accurate? No. Have they meshed and mended stories together to present a cool movie? Yes. But the thing that they did between Chris Evans, RDJ, Hemsworth,
Tom
all
Holland.
of them. Well, and this is at the end of the day, this is the biggest example of it. James Gunn. Guardians of the Galaxy. He completely remade what Guardians was. Mm-hmm. And even took...
I agree.
Marvel was like, we don't even know if this property is going to work. It's only really been fully functional as we're presenting it since 2008. This isn't some ancient property. But he took the spirit of it. The spirit of the story. What are you telling me? How is it being presented to me? And do the costumes look cool and somewhat in the spirit of what's going on? And that's the thing, is that they did that. Even Happy Hogan, as the director of Iron Man 1 and 2, gave us amazing Iron Man that were Stan Winston Studio approved Iron Mans, and that was great.
Same thing with what he did with Star Wars. Mandalorian is takes the spirit of Star Wars and like invigorates. the
Gives
series,
new
Yeah,
Gives new life.
and
to it.
that's the key of it, is taking the spirit of it, and then not making a copy. Like for instance, no, to be honest, I don't want to watch a live action hero movie that's page by page the comic. That's not what I want. Like I don't want to go and see a movie that's page by page.
Read the comic.
Right. Again, I'm just gonna read the comic. Example: Sandman, the audio drama. Right.
That was
I have listened to it. I went back and started reading. I kid you not. It is almost page by page. I stopped reading because I've already
you
listened to
listened
it.
Well, yeah.
So I mean, my thing is like, and that's kind of like with Gunn there, by the way. He ruined me on Guardians because I liked him so much in the films. I go to read them in the comics, and I just can't.
They're not the same thing.
Because it's not. But you're right. He took the spirit of it, and which is great, and then he put it into the movies.
He took that dysfunctional family theme and he put it in there. And he did it in such a way that those characters are beloved by the world over. I never thought that Rocket Raccoon and Star-Lord or Groot, I never thought any of them would be like somebody. Their names are said with as much recognition as Thor,
and Hulk.
Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, Spider-Man. What? Gunn's amazing.
I didn't even know who they were when we were walking into the movie for that.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I'd already read
same
the
thing.
Annihilation book, so I knew who they were. I did not expect what I got.
I didn't
but
know
what I
who
got
they
was
were.
better.
I remember getting basically a let's discuss in the parking lot afterwards from you about how good a job they did with that movie.
Yeah, well, they reinvent. Now, you see Star-Lord. Now, not until, and this was what's funny, is not until Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 do we get the actual Guardians of the Galaxy outfits.
Yes.
Those outfits are what they wore through the Annihilation storyline, which
Wait a minute.
revamped the galactic Marvel universe. Thanos, Galactus, Silver Surfer, the Guardians, everybody on that galactic scale, even the Shi'ar Empire involved in that, and they kind of rebooted that. But the original movie with the the Michael Jackson style red jacket,
Yes.
Everything they did was just fantastic choices.
Obviously, we're just trying to give Ryan Reynolds some ideas for the next movie.
Oh.
Well, I mean, honestly, and this is the thing, and I don't know how many of these people want to, because these are big things. They're big, stressful projects, and people like me exist out there that are willing to cuss you out or applaud you, depending on how well you do. That's got to be a lot of stress that goes in on a project like that. I mean, you're not just talking about like, hey, I'm making a movie. I just want a budget of this much so I can make a movie about an alien. What's it going to be called? An alien. Oh, right. But what's that's the deepness of the movie. It's about an alien, but it's going to be a good movie. It's not a pre-existing property, which we live in pop culture land of everything is a pre-existing property.
Yeah.
And I think that I really enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine for presenting that to me in a different light, where these are pre-existing properties. It's a lot of stress to put it together. Look at all of these people who've been trashed and thrown away in the process, and yet here they are with a chance, a good story, and a good direction, and everybody is screaming again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the challenge with this, because when you bring in those characters, you have a pre-established fiction that has already been in place, so you have to like bring that with it. For instance, when you bring in Sabretooth, it's like,
yeah,
he recognizes it. You have to bring it in. You have to like make sure they're playing a part.
that was so funny when Sabretooth rode in, like
Yes.
Chris Hemsworth in Mad Max.
Yes. Yes. But I mean, again, it's kind of like,
When they had
you
Red
have
Skull's
to-
car, they had the Fantastic car, they had like so much was in that
right.
scene.
I mean, if you're going to sit there and you're going to use a character that's already established, that you already have them in this role, but then you're going to put them in the same role but act completely different from the way the character was, it's not going to work. like you already have that built in, you know, and it's like you need to run with it. So, and that's a challenge because, again, it's not like you're just bringing a brand new actor to play Pyro, dressed up like him and everything. No, that's not what it is. Like, this is that character
Yeah.
from the movies that you knew because you watched it already.
Yeah.
So because you already have that established in the audience's minds, you got to run with it now. And yeah, that is a challenge because you're more limited in your options there because you, whether you like it or not, and what the way they were represented before, you still have to deal with it.
Now, I have to give them credit. They did do a good job of presenting some of them without the original actors, such as Juggernaut.
No, that was the original actor.
It was not.
It wasn't not? And I
No.
think wasn't Ray
And
Park was not in this
Ray
either.
Park was not Toad,
Yeah.
but we did see Toad. Bullseye, that was obviously an aging black man and not Colin Farrell. So there are certain
They should have
things.
gotten Colin Firth for that. That would have been funny.
I'm just saying, there's certain things where it's like, obviously they were giving us the keynotes on some of it with the bigger names, the higher focus. They're giving us the person in place, and a lot of it like allowing those actors their chance to play that
It's probably
part.
because Chris Evans costs too much. And then, so
Well,
like,
Chris
Oh,
Evans
man.
cost so much we couldn't get Colin Farrell to show up and
Yeah.
do the rattlesnake music and be Bullseye, which would have been a really crazy cool scene to see Colin Farrell's Bullseye and Jennifer Gardner's Elektra go toe to toe again.
Yeah.
And maybe this time she shanks him with the side. That would have been a cool.
she shanks by the seashore.
I will say that was still one of the coolest scenes from Daredevil was when Daredevil goes to grab his weapon that's flying through the air.
And sails past him while Rob Zombie's singing, "Come on, come
Well,
on, come
well,
on."
it's because the explosion goes off and then it separates out and then he has to like choose which one to grab. And I thought that one scene just sticks in my mind because it's like, crap. What are you gonna do? Like, you gotta pick one, you know. And you know, so anyways, that I thought that part in the movie was actually well done for that. But anyways,
Well, I'll go back and watch Daredevil any day of the week. I actually like to watch the Daredevil director's cut with the extra scenes with him and Foggy Nelson doing the investigation into the hooker that got killed.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of the rest of the movie make sense that you don't get because you don't have that director's
Right.
cut.
Yeah.
But
Cutting floor.
that, when I saw it in the movie theater, I loved that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't the
I
director
loved
of
it.
that do the Nick Cage Ghost Rider as well?
I'm not sure.
I think that he was like just a fan director. Like not he made fan films, but like he was a very young director that didn't have a lot of film under his belt, and they're like, "You want to do Daredevil?" And he's like, "Yes," you know.
Yeah, I mean that's if somebody came to me with that, I'd do my best, and I would be so thrilled to do it. And it may or may not work,
A lot of
but
those directors get bulldozed by executives.
Well,
They don't know how to deal with it. That's what happened to Josh Trank
I feel bad about
with the FF movie you hate. That was done by
that
Josh
was
Trank.
horrible. Well, and he's not a great director. I'm sorry.
He was overwhelmed by the studio size of the movie, and also I think that he was not equipped to deal with executive criticism, right?
Well, and all he had under his belt was like a gimmick movie.
Yeah, a small sci-fi movie under his belt. It was like found footage style.
With Michael B.
shot.
Jordan in it, and it
Was
was
that Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan was in that
Good
one,
job.
along with fellow that went on to play
Well, now I gotta look
Valerian
that
in the City of a Thousand Worlds or
Uh-huh.
whatever.
What was
Like
the
they're
name
all
of
in
the
that.
movie? I'll just
Well,
look up Josh Trank. He only has like 2
it's,
movies now.
But I mean, it was a gimmick movie. He was not built to direct a movie, let alone be told just like Corman, "You're going to direct a movie, so we don't lose the
Oh,
rights."
he's
to
your
do
age.
something."
Josh Trank's your age.
Oh well, young and beautiful like me still. That's great. But what I'm saying is like, and that's the shame. I don't know what Ben Affleck was doing on that day, or if he even got the call. But I feel so bad, like him as a person, as an actor, you see he's always taking it so hard when he gets a poor reception
Yeah.
to doing a good job. His Daredevil was good. His Batman was good. He is not a bad actor, and he is a very committed character actor where he's going to get into the place of the part and build it
His
up.
Batman was one of the best parts of the Flash movie.
his Batman was probably one. Okay, Batman.
Okay.
And I'm going to say this: Batman was the only good part of the Flash movie, and by saying that, I can
All
say
of them.
all of them. I never want to see, and this is why I'm also trying to be zen and say we should appreciate these actors for what they do.
Yeah.
Except for Ezra Miller. No,
Oh,
you're gone.
God.
You're done, dude.
Wait
You're
a
done.
minute, wait a minute. You mean he gets second chances, but Jonathan Majors doesn't?
Right? No, neither one of them should. At the end of the day, if you're shooting people, holding people hostage, hitting people, whatever else, I'm sorry. Move along. You don't deserve limelight. You don't deserve to be rewarded for your actions.
But Ben Affleck does.
He does.
Yes.
He has obviously done so much hard work in his life. He gets to date the most beautiful, ever young woman that has ever existed, Jennifer Lopez. He is there in love with one of the most eternal beauties for all mankind. I've heard she still looked that good even when they called her Cleopatra back in the ancient days. She's amazing.
I didn't see that movie. But
They should make that movie. I'd watch it. He could
Well,
play Mark Antony.
Let's go ahead.
I did love, at the end of the Deadpool movie, the table scene with the whole family.
Yes. And seeing X-23 there with Wolverine, all of them really.
Yeah.
Even though Colossus didn't get a bunch of his speaking parts in this movie this time, and we didn't get to see Cable, shame. Which
Well, he was probably busy trying to save the timeline.
no, just cherries on a cheesecake for me if he had been there. But this was a really good movie.
All right, so let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Oh,
And
it's been a minute.
it's been quite a minute.
I think we've been talking for at least a minute, so we should be good.
Oh, turn the page. Okay,
Yes.
we can turn the page.
But let's go ahead and give your final thoughts on it. Go ahead and also include your favorite cameo and your favorite part of the movie. And give the rating out of, 5.
Wait, what all do we have to give again? Favorite
Rating.
cameo, favorite moment,
And rating.
and rating.
Yep.
And we're starting across from you?
We're starting in the middle.
Okay. The middles. I think, honestly, for me, the moment that I enjoyed, okay, there was a lot of moments that I really enjoyed.
It's hard. It's hard to
I
pick.
know it's difficult to pick one.
But you have to.
I'm going to go with when Deadpool was so excited about Captain America,
And then we were,
and then Captain America says flame on,
yeah.
and reminds us that he was
like, what the?
he was already in the universe before.
Yeah.
That whole scene was great, and how they kind of hid it, because he
He
had
had
like
the red tattered wraps around his
right, and
wrists.
he had
his
the
red
shawl,
blue.
stuff
Yeah.
like that, the wasteland shawl, and
Yeah.
he was like hiding it like the whole time because you're thinking, oh yeah,
But
you
even his
see
pants-
uniform.
You're
His
seeing the
pants are
blue.
even the Captain America pants.
Yes, yes,
You're seeing the blue, and
Yes.
you're like, but Johnny Storm wore the blue.
yes.
But it wasn't just blue, it was red wraps. That's what really
Yeah,
did
I think it was at that moment that you realized, oh, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Which
Which-
up to that point, I mean,
Could have been anything.
it could have been anything. You had no idea.
Which honestly is also the reason that I enjoyed one of my most enjoyed movies ever, Velocipaster. Because there was a moment where I'm like, oh, this is what we're doing.
So your favorite
You mean the
cameo was
beginning of
Johnny
the movie?
Storm?
And my favorite cameo was Captain Johnny Storm.
And that was your favorite moment too? Or?
That was my favorite moment.
And
Was
favorite cameo.
was
Nice.
when he said flame on, and Deadpool's like, what the?
How many claws would you give it? Or claws and katanas, whatever. We're going what is our score rating here? 1 to 10?
It's one
One
up
through
to
five?
Up through 5.
So,
I'm gonna give it.
whiskey claws.
You get to pick Wolverine claws or double katanas.
I'm gonna give it a solid 4.5 minivans.
You talking about what is that they're in that whole time?
Odyssey, isn't that what
The
it is?
Odyssey.
The Odyssey.
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 Yeah. God, this band really.
That was a real van they used, by the way.
Yeah.
They used a real van for it. It took 2 days for that film shoot.
That took me all the way back to like Street Fighter.
Yeah, that's so good. That scene.
That van's the reason why it was a $220 million budget.
They messed that thing up. That was amazing. Favorite cameo? Man. To put it in a nutshell. Honestly, I think that I have really enjoyed and loved seeing all of the people get to return to their parts and do their parts. But I think that Channing Tatum, I would have to say, is my favorite cameo because it's not actually a cameo. That's a debut.
This is actually his debut.
That was his debut, and it was just excellent to see him come in being the Gambit that I grew up with as a kid, talking like the Gambit that I grew up with as a kid, and then that hardcore guy that would actually explode a bottle of whiskey in Wolverine's hand. Like, this is a guy that would go toe-to-toe with Wolverine. So I'd have to say that that's honestly my favorite cameo that occurred. And then favorite part, again, in a movie so ripe with so much that went right, it's hard to really say. But when Logan or Wolverine is, yeah, I know I had to skip over the Henry Cavill cameo. I had to skip over all the alternate Wolverines to get here, but when
The comic book
Wolverine,
accurate one.
well, Short King Logan, Age of Apocalypse Wolverine obviously would be one of my favorites. Patch Wolverine, and the Calverine. I really do, and I get jealous of him because my wife's in love with him, but I really would like to see him get the part. That he looked great as Wolverine. But anyway, sorry. Needless to say, favorite part was Wolverine sitting down, drinking himself into his pity well, and X-23 comes over and talks to him. That entire scene, that entire exchange between the two of them and him having to put words to his trauma and saying, no, I have to say it. You have to let me say it because I need to.
This isn't just exposition.
Yeah, and then even her saying, you were never the right guy.
Yeah.
But you always did the right thing. That whole exchange right there, favorite part. Now, 1 through 5 with one whiskey claw in there. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 5. This is a 5 out of 5 for me because of how much heart was in it. I think they did an amazing job.
Yeah. I'd say my favorite cameo appearance was Blade.
Some mother still skating uphill.
just the whole him showing up.
The one and only Blade.
Okay, so you see Elektra walk in, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, you're surprised. But then you see Blade walk in, and he just walked in a little more slower than Elektra did.
Yeah.
And they really just kind of slowed that scene down so you could really get to see him walk into that room. And I will say this, I'm going to give them props on the film for this because I see this happen too many times in film. They purposely slowed down that scene because they knew the fan response in the theater was going to be. And of course, you don't want to move on to dialogue right after because who's going to hear it?
Right.
Nobody's going to.
It's like when Brad Pitt shows up in Friends, everyone screams for like a full minute.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have to wait.
You have to wait, yeah. And so props to them for seeing that ahead of time and accounting for that.
Letting it sink
It
in.
could have been like test
Exactly.
audience and like we need to extend that one scene a little bit longer.
Maybe so, but the final edition cut of it, man, on point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that scene right there, and then the whole dialogue between them was great between Deadpool and Blade, where he's like,
You don't
look,
like me? Never did.
and he's like, look,
He's
I'm
dead.
trying not to get canceled again.
Did you say retarded? No, I said retired.
I love that part.
Excellent. Excellent.
That was great, and then. Of course, I was telling my wife about it with that scene. I said, yeah, because he was in Blade Trinity, you know?
Yeah.
And
King,
like
yeah.
they had all this banter back and forth in it, you know? And it was cool because they actually showed, again, somebody... Shame on you for putting that clip out there from the movie theater and then putting it side by side with the clip from Blade Trinity. But because I saw it, it did the whole transition of the two scenes.
Yeah.
So it shows like that scene from Deadpool Wolverine and then transitions to the Blade Trinity. And then the banter between them where he's like, I don't like you. You know? And I love that. It's just great. They did such a great job with that, you know? And again, of course, I love seeing Wesley Snipes back in action, you know?
What if Handsome Pool was actually Hannibal?
It's nice. His name is nice.
It was always Hannibal.
It's Hannibal all along.
But that was great. That was my favorite cameo appearance. Even though I am a fan of Captain America, you know, and Chris Evans did an amazing job as Captain America, you know, and even though I was a fan, and I did like his Human Torch,
It was.
especially the end credits.
He was the
Yeah,
best.
that was so funny.
That's on, I mean, yes, that's on character because that's what Johnny Torch is, a hothead, and he is a big mouth, and he will just sit there and run his mouth. He gets the Fantastic Four into trouble because of his mouth.
I think,
So yes,
He named the Fantastic Four because of his mouth.
I think
Yeah.
the end credits is the reason that I like the scene I liked so much.
yes. But my favorite moment in the film was the last one of the last scenes of the film, to where, you know, it's explained. Hey, you got antimatter, matter, basically. You know, two different towers. You know, you have to stop both of them at the same time, and it's going to just completely destroy you because when these two combine, it's destroys you on a molecular level. So they were set up like, okay, you're gonna die, right? And they had this conversation, and then Logan's like, I got this, my world's already dead, yours is still here, we're gonna save your world because my world's already dead.
Yeah.
Because to Logan, his world was destroyed when he lost his team.
Yeah.
So he has already checked himself out, basically. And of course, Deadpool just throws him out of the way, and just goes in there himself, and then you just see him, Logan, just in there, just furiously like bashing through the door, to get to him. And then he gets to him, because you look at it, you said, yeah, Deadpool's not going to make it in time, he's just not going to. And then of course you see
Because he
Logan.
took so long being a friend to go do this.
You see Logan jump in there and then grab the other end, and then basically them meet.
Like a prayer.
The best part of that scene right there is when his claws popped out and then hit the antimatter one. I think it was antimatter. I think that was his. But anyways, when his claws
because
popped
it
out,
anti-shirted the matter of his shirt.
Right after they said that he's wearing the shirt because he's let himself go.
he completed the connection. The circuit completed. And that was great. That whole scene there, that was perfect, because it's like it shows you that character growth of both characters, of both Deadpool and Wolverine. Because Wolverine finally he gets a chance to be the hero that he failed to be for his
By doing teamwork.
And then Deadpool finally gets the opportunity to be the hero he's always wanted to be.
Yeah.
But has always failed horribly at in one way or another. But he actually got to do it, and that was great seeing that scene and seeing that kind of completion of that character arc for both of them.
Yeah.
So to me, that was my favorite scene of the movie. Was that interaction between them.
And being on a team with people who can't die is probably really good for
It's a safe bet. It's a safe bet.
That was one of my favorite parts of that banter before. Deadpool's like, oh, it's just going to destroy us? That's okay. Like, we come back like cockroaches.
Or when he's digging up Logan and he's like, that's not how regeneration works!
Yes, and then you don't see what he's digging yet. And you just start going off. And he bashes the skeleton with his shovel.
Oh, God. The old man Logan skeleton.
That was great. But anyways, that was mine.
How many claws
What
do
about
you
you?
do?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I'm going claws in this. Yeah, Wolverine fan.
Claws out.
Claws out. I'll do 5. 5 out of 5. I mean, it was a great movie. It even weeks later, it still kind of resonates.
Yeah.
In there. And I keep thinking back, and there are a few things that I think about it, and I'm like, okay, there's some things I'm still waiting for them to kind of explain a little bit more, like the whole regeneration of this timeline, like how that affects Old Man Logan and all that mess, you know. But other than those tiny little things that may or may not get explained later, it was a great movie.
Can't wait to see X-23 solo project. What about you, John? What was your favorite cameo, favorite moment, and how many?
Favorite cameo. I liked X-23. Like, that was on the fence about whether or not she would come back. And except for like I think maybe a week before she finally was able to say like, and I think before then she was flat out saying she wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they basically tell their actors to lie now. But same thing with Spider-Man. What was the guy's?
Toby.
Oh, Andrew Garfield.
Oh, Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
Flat out denied. Being
He's like, I never even
like
got
that
invited.
video's fake. Like,
Yeah.
that's not real. It's like, no, that's totally real. But like, that's my favorite. And then my favorite scene, or I don't know if that's my favorite scene, but it's one I keep thinking about. So this scene really likes me, I guess. I don't know. But like, it's when they put the helmet on Cassandra, and and then like, you know, like she's like, you have to take it off, like otherwise I can't do the thing. And also she's been shot, and so we have to take it off. And it's like, you promised not to kill us. And she's like, the first thing I'm gonna do is kill you. And then Deadpool's like, why are you like this? And she's like,
Who hurt you?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. And I like that. I like that the character is like really human to me in that way. Like, because I know people who aren't necessarily will kill you, but like they behave in a way that is not good for them or anyone around them, and when confronted like with logic, like, why would you ever do this? And there is no answer. They just do.
They're just true to themselves.
Or they don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe because they're too afraid to look. I don't know. But Cassandra Nova is like, as much as like, you know, you can empathize with Wolverine and Deadpool because of their good writing, you know, human characteristics. Cassandra is equally well written.
Yes.
She's not just, she has all that flavor of just, I'm just pure evil, but there's a layer of like realism to her evil that's makes it even more frightening to me.
Yeah, she ranks up there for me with Thanos and with Hela as the greatest villains of all time.
She was. I was pleasantly surprised with her because I was going into it like I knew she's a villain, you know, and I was like, okay, cool. They did the little arc with her, and then I was like, okay, they're done with it, you know. But I liked the fact that they kind of brought it through the end because the interesting thing about her character was that like she was pleasantly happy where she was.
Yeah.
She didn't want anything.
She was
else.
born there. Well, not born, but she was
Raised there.
well as a fetus. She appeared in that world,
and
so.
she was fine with being there, you know, and you know, she's not the one who screwed up the arrangement.
Right.
It was this, you know, egotistical
The paradox guy.
paradox.
The one who created the paradox.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was the one who screwed it up
Yeah.
and then unleashed her essentially on the multiverse. Good job, buddy.
Oh, deal's
You know?
over? Deal's over.
Yeah. So I mean,
I
like
want a
that
figure
about her.
of him and one of his replacement heads. Like Marvel Legends should do this. A figure of him, and he has like a switch out head with her fingers through his head. And if you buy her figure, you can connect that hand in the back of his head onto her arm so that you could just see her
that'd be cool.
dragging him around. That's how I want
Meanwhile,
that.
Hasbro's like, we sell children's toys.
Whatever, man.
McFarlane
I
can do
own your naked Mystique figure. That's...
McFarlane can do it.
They know who buys their toys. Their toys are not bought off of the allowance of a child.
Oh, but back with her though, that I was pleasantly surprised with her character and how that came to be because as she showed at any point, she could have left the void anytime she wanted to.
Yeah,
She just didn't want to because she had everything she needed.
I
there.
would.
But all of a sudden, when it's like, oh, he has what now? oh, that could be more fun. So now all of a sudden she has a reason to leave the void. You know?
Yeah.
She did a great job.
Sometimes you
rare.
let Sleeping Be sly.
Very rare to see somebody so attractive too, with absolutely no hair on their head,
Yeah.
male or female. But I mean, she really pulled it off.
She pulled it off well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd date her.
How many claws would you give it?
6.
6 out of 5. Yeah.
No, it's 6 out of 6. There's 3 on each hand. I don't know why you're
That
doing
makes sense.
5.
Well, there's whiskey claw.
I don't. Why is there only 5 whiskeys? I don't understand.
No, it's fair. 6 out of 5 works for me. Anyway.
It's because he's missing the claw from Silver Samurai.
6. Well, he's missing all.
God,
6
I'm glad
claws.
that never got brought up again. You didn't see Days of Future Past Wolverine with like one hand missing.
That's actually the
his hand.
reason that Wolverine drinks.
Yeah. I saw my claws get cut off.
Oh, well, thank you for listening to our
Our
thoughts,
rambling consciousness.
our thoughts and feelings and banter on Deadpool and Wolverine,
Oh,
and
and
also the
Peter was in
MCU
it.
in general, and also how this connects. Like this one, I'm interested in seeing how this all connects. 'Cause that, like I said previously, they essentially have said, okay, all these properties have existed in the multiverse of the MCU.
And was this Deadpool universe the universe with the Kelsey Grammer beast that we saw in the Marvels?
Right, exactly.
Hopefully that doesn't become Tiamat.
Well,
But thanks for letting us reach our hands inside your skulls and then out back through your nostrils again. It's been a pleasure feeling around in there.
I'm not going to quote Johnny Storm.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, what?
be sure to check out our other Let's Discuss videos. One of our most other recent ones is the X-Men 97.
Excellent.
So that was an excellent one as well to listen to. And of course we have others that we have previously mentioned, like Terminator, Dark Phoenix, and others.
If you want to hear us cuss about the negativity of a movie, yeah, go on back there. Find out about my tenuous relationship with Michael B. Jordan this entire time.
Until then, join us next time. Saturday Night Game signing out.